Hey everyone, and welcome to another Marks & Crafts review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the next set of The World Ends With You, the animation prize figures. And much like the Shiki and Neku videos that I did, these are individual figures, but I'm going to do them as a pair because they come as a pair and they work well together like that. These are the animation versions, which are, I think the colour is a little bit different to the games. I've only played the games, haven't watched the anime, heard that the anime is quite good, but I digress. These are the ones based on the anime, and they're pretty accurate to the game as well, as far as I know. And these are Square Enix prize figures. Prize figures are basically more affordable figurines that you would find normally in like a crane machine in Japan, or through like special limited releases and things like that. Typically they are painted fully by machine and manufactured fully by machine, whereas some of the higher scales, typically some of the smaller details and finer points are done by hand or things like that. But anyway, these are what we're dealing with today. We've got Beat and Rhyme, which is the brother and sister duo from the game and anime. These are some of the best characters personality-wise in the game. I'm not a big fan of Beat's design. Like, it did grow on me, but I don't know if it translates that well as a figurine. But definitely Rhyme will probably look good, but we won't know until I open them up. So let's get right into it. You can already see that, much like the Neku and Shiki, the underside of the feet, even for things that are hidden by the base, are still detailed, which is very, very cool. And yeah, there you go, the brother and sister are all set up. We'll quickly rotate Beat around so you can have a bit of a look at him. Paint-wise, pretty good, much like the Shiki and Neku. No real complaints about detail or colour and things like that. There's some shade work done on the pants, it seems, to give them a little more detail. I think there's a little bit of shading on his shirt, but I don't know if that's just natural lighting. Flesh is definitely shaded to give detail to his muscles. The beanie, the skull beanie, looks nice. His necklace is well detailed. His bracelets, things like that. It's not a very like wild design, which is why it worked really well in the game, because it's got such a unique style to it. But as a figure, it's a little bit boring. Rhyme, on the other hand, seems to have the sort of exaggerated aesthetic of the game pretty much nailed completely, where she's got a thin frame but her clothes are very baggy, very like sharp lines around her clothes, like the little bell, which can move just a little bit, the nice little skull pin on her beanie, looks nice. There are some seam lines, but they're pretty minor, because I don't think you can see them from the front, but it's not that big of a deal. But like the Shiki and Neku, I feel like her style sort of suits the figure to game accuracy a lot better, just because like small frame, baggy clothes, a lot of like flared out accessories and things like that, whereas Beat is pretty subdued, even with his shirt flaring out a bit there. It's literally just flaring out a tiny bit. The pose isn't super interesting. Rhymes is quite nice, but they do pair well together. In terms of like face detail and things like that, Rhyme looks pretty good. I feel like they could have done a little bit more. But the eyes look pretty good, accessories and things like that look good, the hair just looks a bit flat. And there's a little bit of blotchy paint around here, I don't know if it shows on camera that well, but really minor, it's just on the back. but from a distance looks perfectly fine, and would suit the display that I've already got going with the others. You can see her base has her name on it, and it's the should be a scramble crossing, just like the other two, and same thing with Beat. And while we're here, might as well have a look at his expression. Looks a little bit goofy, to be honest. I don't know if that's a paint error on his mouth, or like it's meant to have like that little sort of lip going a little bit further out. But his looks a little bit funky. There is a small paint error under his nose, but you can probably pass it off as a nostril. But yeah, that's not too bad. The skull necklace looks quite good. His chain down here looks pretty good as well. This bracelet looks really nice. I'm actually the most impressed by his bracelet because it is a little textured like the Neku and Shiki were, whereas the metallic paint on his chains look a little bit off. The matte finish on his beanie looks nice as well. His face just looks a little bit off, I'd say. Although I do like some of the detailing of his hair just down here. And again, I do like it when they do the details of the shoe, even though they don't need to. Yeah, I don't know, like this, like, again, talking about pose, this is one of the things that looks like good from one angle, or at least possible by one angle. But like you miss his hand and things like that. Again, it depends on what angle you're looking at it. But say you put it like that, looks a bit wrong. Put it like that, looks even more wrong. See it from the back. It looks okay from the back. From this angle, looks really disproportionate and awkward. So it's one of those ones that only sort of looks good from like a few angles right at the front, whereas some other figures look good no matter what. Rhyme, I feel like she'll stand up a bit better to it. So like that, looks fine, looks fine, looks fine, looks good. She doesn't look too goofy because her pose is sort of like a cheer and it's a bit clearer what's going on, whereas Beats is a little bit awkward as a dynamic pose. And again, if you sort of put them in the set, in the set with the others, you can see a little bit of a theme going on, where Neku and Beat are sort of in action fighting poses, whereas Shiki and Rhyme are sort of in more, not necessarily static poses, but like there's nothing going on pose, like it's there's no battle or anything like that. Neku's clearly in the middle of a battle, Beat's most likely in a battle. If you line them up like this, it does create a nice sort of bookend effect. We'll see when the Joshua comes out how he fits with all of those, but generally the whole aesthetic is good with all of them. While I'm not super impressed by Beat, and even Rhyme's not the best, I feel like together with the whole set they really nail it. So I'm quite happy about that. Again, really love that all their bases sort of match up and all have that same aesthetic. But yeah, they're of the same quality as the first two. It's just that I'm not as sort of attached to Rhyme and Beat as I am Neku and Shiki, especially Neku. But they did the best they could with what they had. Like, Beat's costume is not really easy to translate into something like that, and again, pose, there isn't anything really iconic they could have done for him. So they did the best they could. They nailed whatever aspect they could. Definitely those characters, there's no mistaking it. And they are pretty good, and I'm glad that they're going to be added to the collection as well. Keen to see how Joshua fits in, because I think he is another static pose, so I might just chuck him in the middle or something like that. But as it stands, these four look fine together. And that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you all for the next review. Until next time, bye!